You're listening to the Angela Henderson Online Business Show, episode 364. Hey there, you amazing human, and welcome to the Angela Henderson Online Business Show, the podcast that is designed for female entrepreneurs who want to make more money in a way that is in alignment for them. If you're looking for practical advice, proven strategies, and expert insights to help you navigate the challenges of growing your business, then you've come to the right place. Welcome, my friend. I am your host, Angela Henderson, a proud Canadian living in beautiful Australia, and I'm a business coach, consultant, and strategist who has helped thousands of women around the world build successful businesses. Through solo episodes and interviews with successful business owners, industry experts, and thought leaders, you'll get insider insights into what it takes to succeed in today's digital age. Whether you're struggling to scale your business, looking for ways to boost your productivity, or seeking ways to overcome the challenges of being an entrepreneur, this show has everything you need to succeed and more. So subscribe, pop your headphones on, and get ready to creating the business and life you deserve today by allowing the Angela Henderson Online Business Show help you create a winning strategy, develop the right mindset, and build lasting wealth. Hey, you epic human, and welcome back to another awesome podcast episode with me, your host from Angela Henderson Consulting. Today, I'm thrilled to be joining my guest all the way from good old WA here in Australia to chat with you about visibility reach and how Google search expands your business's online presence with the amazing Sonia. She's an absolute weapon when it comes to this. And I talk often on the podcast about visibility and reach, and that there are only 3 ways to gain visibility: organic, partnership, and paid. And Sonia is really going to go in today about how Google specifically can help you grow your visibility and reach. And there are multiple ways that we're going to dive in, such as, but not limited to, SEO, YouTube, right? Google Ads, and a variety of other levels of awesomeness. We're going to jump in. But as I said, most people will underestimate what Google search can do, whether or not you are a service-based business, course creator, consultant, etc. So you're going to want to get your pen ready, because there are some things that you're going to be able to do right away and some things that are more of a long-term strategy. But regardless, you're going to get some valid information that is going to help you grow your visibility and reach through Google search. So sit back, pour yourself a cup of tea or a glass of wine. It's 5 o'clock somewhere, and get ready for an awesome episode. Hey, welcome to the show, Sonia.
Hi, how are you, Ange? Thanks for having me.
Oh my goodness. Super excited to have you here as always. I always just wish, could we not just have 2 or 3 hours just to hang out and chat some more? Do you know what I mean?
I know.
But not now. One day that will happen, either when I'm in WA or you're over in Queensland, or who knows, maybe we'll just meet up in Bali, one time, who knows?
Oh, well, yeah. I will be at one of your retreats at one time or another. I just don't know when that will be, but it will happen.
All right. Well, I will be there with open arms and a glass of whatever you need, and we will be able to talk our little hearts out, because we always have something to say. But today we're chatting specifically about visibility and reach, and this is always a hot topic, and people are always looking at different angles to be able to consider what else they could be doing within their business. So today I want to specifically talk about visibility or reach around how Google search can expand people's businesses' presence. But before we start, I would love for you to say, in a simple nutshell, what do you do for your business? How do you help people? What do you get up to on any given day?
Yeah. Thanks. I'm a Google search expert. So my personal brand is Sonia the Search Queen. And I help businesses be found on Google for the problems that they solve by their ideal clients, so that they are not billboards in the desert. Mm-hmm. And the reason why I'm so passionate about what I do is because I have seen businesses transform as a result of being in the right hands. The business started in 2018 kind of by accident. It wasn't, I had 10 clients approach me to say, can you just do your own thing, please? Because there's nobody out there that cares as much as you do. And I was like, okay, this is a massive sign from the universe, because I didn't pay attention before. So I'm like, okay, I might as well take the leap and make it happen. And away I went. And then it just has went gangbusters ever since I launched my personal brand, really, in 2020.
Oh my goodness.
And built trust within the industry and demystified these smoke and mirrors that's around Google. So any given day for us is, I'm just overseeing the strategy. Obviously there's a team of 16 that work for me. It's not just me. I can't take all the credit for the amazing results that we do. We've an absolute army of guns. The business rebranded Oh, a year and nearly 2 years ago, actually, it's 2 years ago. Oh my God, it's 2 years ago. We were branded from the Marketing Republic to the Search Republic, and that was purely because Google is what lights us up the most, and it's where we get the most return for our clients.
Mm.
But I oversee the strategy, and we pretty much just make sure all of our clients Google ads and SEO pays for itself, and that they make profit on top. That's the aim of the game, so we can ensure long-term relationships.
I love it. And then are there particular businesses that your company works with?
Yeah, we have a lot of e-commerce clients that shift product online, so Google Shopping ads works really, really well for them.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of service-based business, plastic surgeons. What other types of clients we have? We have luxury home builders. We have a lot of gyms,
Mm-hmm.
that like do very well. A lot of location-based clients as well that
Mm-hmm.
like just need more of the local area to know that they're open for business, really.
Mm-hmm.
So there are a lot of service-based businesses and a lot of e-commerce clients as well. Bit of a mix, really, but yeah.
I love it. Just for those who are listening, they're like, okay, great. Yep, this is good. This is me. I can keep listening type scenario. So when I say
Yep.
Google search, I understand that because I've been in the game. You'll understand that, but maybe not every listener might understand that. So I always just like to make sure we're all in the same playing field. So can you just start off by simply explaining what is Google search?
Yeah, so Google search is basically all of the campaigns that help businesses be found on Google. So as a collective, it's called Google search. So
Mm-hmm.
when you think about a problem that you have that you need to solve, as a person that uses Google every day, you'll go directly to Google with your problem, and you're hoping that you will be presented with solutions to solve that problem.
Mm-hmm.
So there's multiple ways to actually solve the problem, and multiple areas within the search engine results page that is brought back to the ideal person that is searching on Google. And the top positions are Google ads. So those
Uh-huh.
are what appear in the top few positions. And then
Mm-hmm.
you have your Google Maps listing. So that basically optimizes your local listing for local traffic to come through your doors as well. And then you also have organic, which basically drives your rankings up on the search engine over a period of time. But disclaimer, it's a long-term strategy. It can take anything for
Mm-hmm.
12, 18 months to see a return on investment, a massive return on investment for SEO. It's a long game. Whereas Google Ads is short term. So if you need bums on seats, you need more clients, you need more inquiries. Google Ads is the best way to start. And we start a lot of people on Google Ads first, especially if they've been burnt before in the past for other agencies. We're like, we want to see if we're all kind of on the same, if we can work together and we all can actually achieve the result. And we usually take clients in on Google Ads, and then within 3 months they're like, yeah, okay, I'm ready to do SEO because you've shown me the true potential. So we usually create a lot of revenue within Google Ads for them to then reinvest back into SEO after that. But then we have clients that come to us and they're like, I'm all in, I just need more leads, inquiries, and online sales. How can we make that happen? So essentially,
Mm-hmm.
we are lead driven machines and online sales. Yeah, so that's what we help basically match businesses with their ideal clients on Google.
And do you also do anything? Obviously, we're talking about like Google Ads, SEO, but do you also do anything with YouTube or YouTube ads?
So YouTube actually is owned by Google.
Uh-huh.
So we do YouTube ads as well. So part of Google Ads is like multiple parts of it. You have Google Ads the search ads. You have Google Shopping ads, which are the ones that appear with images with pricing on the top few positions of Google. That's for people with e-commerce stores. We do display and remarketing. So these are the graphic ads that appear on other people's websites
Mm-hmm.
that are relative to what you're searching for. And remarketing obviously is targeting people that have been on your site but haven't converted. YouTube ads as well is basically falls under the display component. So if we do video advertising, it is very much to do on it falls under display, but YouTube is the platform where we would actually display the ads to the ideal client based on their user intent, their interest, what they're looking to achieve, all those sorts of things.
Love it.
So yes, the whole spectrum.
Love it, because that's the thing. And I guess it leads me into my next question, which is how would a business
Mhm.
know if one of these options that we just talked about is better for them than the other in relations to getting a specific ROI?
Okay, so great question, because we have clients that come to us, and one of the biggest things we do ask them is like, what's your annual revenue? And when we ask them what their annual revenue is and what their projected revenue is, that kind of determines where we can actually start them. And some clients just can't afford to work with us. So we, even though clients say, we want to work with you, I'm like, you're not ready. You know, you don't have the investment. We turn people away all the time because it's just going to be, it takes time to see results when it comes to SEO. But when clients need quick instant leads, we'd recommend them Google Ads to start with, for sure. But then you have your big, meaty, blue collar, blue chip clients that come to us and they have bigger budgets and they have the budget to invest in the long term. We would recommend SEO and Google Ads in that specific situation because they have the budget. Like the ideal scenario is to do SEO and Google Ads, but like, let's face it, not everybody has the budget to do everything. So we're like, okay, let's actually start small. We have clients that come to us and do Google Ads, and then we might actually do an SEO on fire audit. So we actually do standalone audits, and we launched them last year purely because people just want to actually figure out what's wrong with their site, and they can make a decision from there to see if they actually want to do ongoing SEO. But what it does highlight is like, okay, the issues and the obstacles that are stopping them from being found by their ideal client. So I always recommend people start with Google Ads if they have immediate lead or sales problem. Then with the intent of maybe doing SEO later, but in the short term, they could do an SEO on fire audit to tell them what's wrong with the site, and they could actually implement some of the changes themselves. Then if you have, as I said, SEO in Google Ads is the ideal utopia situation. And if we think about Google as your significant other, that you're in a romantic relationship, you're not going to expect the guy to propose to you after 3 months. You know, you kind of need to earn Google's trust, just like how you would with a romantic partner. Google is no different. So you kind of have to gain its trust over a period of time by showing you're worthy and showing like you're doing all the right things to be in this partnership with Google. And when you do that, then Google rewards you by you paying less cost per click on Google Ads and also by you booming your business on SEO as well. But that is a period of time. So there's a lot of hoops that you need to jump through. But the more that you do the right thing by Google from an SEO perspective, has a knock-on impact on Google Ads as well. So yeah, we've had clients that come to us that have started with a certain ad spend, and then 5 months down the track on Google Ads, they've tripled their traffic and tripled their conversions because Google was like, okay, we kind of want to see what this account is about. Are they going to do the right thing? Are they going to follow the rules? And when you follow the rules, Google gives you everything and more. However, there are factors that limit that. Budget is one, like you have to have a significant budget recommended around the keywords that you're trying to target. And if your website is a dog's dinner, there's no point in even starting with Google Ads. I would recommend to go back and rebuild your website from scratch. Because that is one of the biggest problems as to why people don't convert on Google Ads as well. So the amount of websites that we do inherit do need some development work to a degree to ensure that we can actually capture the leads. You'd be surprised now the amount of clients that we see whereby we look at the website and there's no conversion point. So there's no like next step for their ideal client to take when they arrive on the site. It looks like a sexy website, but it doesn't convert.
I'm not surprised, sister. I see that shit every single day.
It is.
And it's appalling.
It drives me bonkers.
Because, and this is where like there's a difference between a web designer and a web developer, in my opinion. The web designers are typically the cheaper ones. They know nothing about conversion, and it might look pretty, but it will do fuck all to bring in new business and work for you 24 hours a day. Then you've got the web developers who typically, in my experience, are a little bit more expensive, are all about creating wireframes, etc., to ensure that it's able to convert organically. But then obviously, again, if you put fuel to the fire, ads, etc., do you know what I mean? That will do exactly what it needs to do. And people are like, yeah, but I just got my website built. I'm like, yeah, and it's shit. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yes. And also, you know, it's not just, people think just the website, but there's so many other components. The copy on the website, like I said, where are the buttons on the website? What's the speed of your website? All of these things are contributing factors. And I see a lot of people who have a lot of heavy video. The way that they've saved their images are slowing up the website, and then people are clicking to your competitor. You know, so that's where I'm always like, minimally do an audit, because at least you've got data doesn't lie and you can make better informed decisions. But again, I also think that by doing Google Ads or SEO, people who are running from that place of scarcity or need sales a lot of time they're just like, I need the quick fix, but nothing in business, including Google search,
No.
do you know what I mean, is ultimately quick fix. You might get some quick wins, but it's not going to fix the bigger problem.
It's a long-term vision. Absolutely agree. And I'm glad that you've touched on that point, because I call websites that don't convert Ferraris without engines gorgeous but useless, you know. And I absolutely want to speak to that point, is that from my experience, people have built websites but have no idea what needs to happen from a technical SEO standpoint. So like, the thing is, right, there are all different schools of thought, and people automatically think that because they built a website that the traffic is going to come on their website. But the website is actually their shop front, and you wouldn't open a new business and have a shop front and not tell people you're open for business. That's essentially the same analogy when it comes to a website. You can't just build a website and expect your traffic to come. The process of optimizing the website is SEO, and site speed is a huge issue with so many sites that we see and so many audits that we spit out for clients. I have a client that starts with us as an SEO ongoing client. We do start with an audit, but we do offer obviously the audits as a standalone service now. For that very reason, because it's like, you know, the amount of issues with websites is just shocking, and video like the dense imagery and not having alternative text, and the images been too large, and then them whacking up the blog, and then not telling Google that that page actually exists on the website through the sitemap means that Google's never going to find the page. So what was the point in even creating the content in the first place?
100%. That's what's saying. But I read that I need to have 10 blog articles. I did them. Okay. Or, you know, I got the green light is another one I hear all the time. I got, you know, the green light that says, you know, my SEO is good. I said, the green light is a liar. You know what I mean? It really, anyways, we could talk about this further along. So I'm very grateful, do you know what I mean, that you're also talking about the bigger things, because if you don't have a good home base where you're driving the Google ads to the YouTube ads or your SEO, you're going to lose all of those leads anyway, because you're driving them back to shit, you know? Yeah. Now, you did mention budget, and I do think this is important, because when I started off with my first business, e-com business back in 2010, you know, often people, you'll go to work with an agency and they'll be like, what's your budget? That's what they always ask. What's your budget? And you're like, well, for me, I've always said, well, it depends. I'm happy to just I never have had any problem giving credit card out, finding cash. I'm like, I will find, if this shit's working, our budget's endless. But not everyone has that mentality. And so when people think about this, because maybe not everyone has the money to do this right now, but they can start to forward plan accordingly. Do you know what I mean? Putting a little bit of money aside. You know, what is the ballpark? Now, again, each different business is different. A plastic surgeon is different too. Do you know what I mean? In e-com. But what's their entry level? What's the baseline that they need to be? Their website's firing. They've got conversion points, copies on point. For example, for an e-com business, do you know what I mean? Checkout's working, abandoned cart sequences are in place, all that's in place. What's a baseline that they should be budgeting for?
Very hard to answer that question, unfortunately, because is no like one size fits all, because every business is different. So what we normally do is we meet with the client and identify what their goals are. And then we would come back to them with a recommended ad spend per month based on what they're trying to achieve. Yeah. And then from there, they can tell us if that works for them or not. And if it doesn't, that's absolutely fine. And if it does, great. We have then different retainer pricing based on how big a campaign is, with how much manage it. But with regards to the ad spend, that's kind of a bit fluid. But with our retainers, they start on sliding scales based on how big the campaign is, based on ad spend. But yeah, unfortunately, there's no one size fits all. Like, as in, we do have our smaller end clients sometimes just need leads, and they're a very straightforward business, and it's very little competition. And they do very, very well on Google. Then we have a lot of the L'Oreal hair salons across Australia and New Zealand, and the cost per click on those are just ridiculous, because it's very much an untapped industry on Google. Yeah. Like not a lot of salon owners show up on Google because they haven't actually put in the time. They put in their time in Instagram. So it's kind of like, well, your cost per click is it's 70 cents for some of the salons that we're running, and it's ridiculous. So again, with that in mind, looking at what the cost per clicks are, they can afford to spend less.
Yeah.
However, if you have the likes of like plastic surgeons and stuff like that, where their cost per click, it can be anything up to $15 a click, or if you have a luxury home builder, $20 a click, or insurance or anything like that, it kind of is very much dependent on what their goals are and what we can actually achieve.
100%. I mean, business coaching, we used to test Google Ads for us, and our click was like sitting at 22,
Wow.
$25 a click.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It didn't, at that particular stage, didn't make sense. But I've always had an SEO strategy, and I rank page one, spot one or two for most primary keywords like business coach Brisbane, things like that. But I've also been doing SEO since 2017, every single month, do you know what I mean, since 2017. So I've been able to get in those rankings because of the ongoing strategy that we've had in place. And I think that, again, like for me, it's like that's how it's worked because of my industry. Others can get there quicker. But if you've got, high competitive keywords, it could take you a long time to do what you need to do to get there. Right. And I think people, again, they just think green light. They think they're in and that they're going to start ranking. And it doesn't work like that.
No, it doesn't. And the thing is, I think the old school of thought was people getting really focused on keywords and rankings. The reality is, if SEO is done correctly and you're speaking to the problem that you solve to your ideal client, the thing is, it opens up a whole host of other opportunities so you can pull in quality traffic, which also will result in an inquiry or an online sale or whatnot. But that comes back to the power of your strategy. So if you know exactly who you're speaking to and you know what keeps them up at night and you know where they hang out and you know what their biggest pain points are, that is where your content is key. Because when you write your content, not just around the highly competitive keywords, but also other opportunities that may come through, and you're doing all of the other things right by Google, like the on-page stuff, off-page, so all of the links driving traffic back to your site, and then all of the back-end technical coding. So the back-end technical coding is probably single-handedly one of the most missed opportunities here for SEO in Australia. From what I've seen, people don't understand what it is. So like the coding, if it's not up to Google's standard, which Google releases the algorithms, 3,000 algorithm changes a year. So if we're not satisfying Google from a back end perspective, it doesn't matter what you do on page and off page. It's not going to make massive difference. So it's a whole holistic approach. So it's just massively evolved over time as well. But the fact that you've been doing such a long time definitely is in your favor, because the longer that you scratch Google's back and you're doing the right thing by Google's going to love you. You're like an OG in their mind. Do you know what I mean?
And I think, another thing that just to talk about there is people want, we talked about briefly, people want quick fixes. But the other thing is people will assume that things are working. Well, I'm doing SEO, I'm doing Google ads, and I'm still not making any money. You're like, well, there's normally multiple things that can be going on. But one of the most effective strategies that I have found, just from a very basic, everyone should have it, is, analyzing their Google Analytics. But you're going to talk a little bit about things are changing at the beginning of July around this. And
last year they changed.
Last year. Yeah, sorry. And what's happening is obviously our data has carried through. Do you know what I mean? We're still able to collect data from our website. So understanding what people are doing when they're hitting our website, how long are they on the website for, where are they clicking through, etc. What are your thoughts about business owners, even if they don't have money, being able to understand their data and taking that responsibility for themselves and understanding SEO, even if they're not using it? Because that's where I think there's this people don't understand, so then they're no better off, and then they make bad decisions. I don't know. What are your thoughts about all this? Because I just think that there's some education that people need to invest time in, but they don't always see it or warrant it as something that they should prioritize.
Totally. Well, I have two things to answer there, because I also in the show notes there'll be the free training link, so any of your listeners can access free Google training. So that will actually explain in layman's terms how Google works. So that might actually help anyone that is a bit in the dark about how Google works. But second thing I want to speak to is GA4. So Google Analytics 4 was launched on the 1st of July 2023. So prior to that, there was Universal Analytics. Nearly every person that had a website had Universal Analytics. If they understood, they had a web developer to update their website, they normally would have put the UA or the GA3 code on it. However, from the 1st of July 2023, Google required everybody to make the change to GA4, because if they didn't make the change to GA4, they actually lose all their history and they stop tracking data altogether. And the thing is, there's so few people that know this, and this is why I preach about it, because if you don't have access to your website data, you're kind of making decisions about your marketing based on emotion, not actual data. And in business, it has to be all about facts and figures. Otherwise, you're just flying blind, you know? So GA4 is revolutionary. It can tell you how many people have been on your site, how many pages have been visited, the conversions, meaning the inquiries, phone call and email inquiries, what happens when they arrive on your site, how long they're staying on your site, where they're dropping off, what pages. There's so much insight. So I think in business, especially in the early days for any business owner, there's a lot of hats that you have to wear. But I highly recommend even like going on YouTube or even think with Google and learn how to read Google Analytics 4. But as a first step, if you don't have GA4, you won't be able to look at it. But we do offer that as a standalone as well, to like, because there's so many websites out there that have no tracking on them whatsoever. And people think that they've had analytics on it, but because they haven't been alerted to the fact that it stopped tracking as the 1st of July, they've lost all their website history. So it's as important as Instagram insights, you know, and everybody that is a business owner looks at the insights of how their posts are performing. But it's like Instagram is just one channel, guys. You know, like the marketplace is massive.
100%. And again, if you're building on other people's real estate, you know what I mean, your channel can also get shut down very quickly, you know?
Absolutely. So it's like, yeah, I love that you're saying that as well, because that is the reality of the situation. I think people are starting to view Instagram and social platforms as the mecca for business marketing, and it's not true. It's actually a really silly decision to do that, because realistically speaking, all of your authority and your domain authority and your brand presence should always, the first and foremost biggest priority should be your 100%. Website. Obviously, socials provides social proof, and it actually helps people make decisions. But like realistically speaking, you need to be able to have a website that you're proud of, and you can actually know what's happening on your website, just like how you would if managing a shop for a brick and mortar business. You'd know the bills that need to be paid, like who's coming through the door, what's right. Like that's the stuff you should know about your website. But the thing is, because Google is a beast, people are like, oh, that's too hard to ask, and I won't do it. You know what I mean?
Where I think it's like one of the primary things that people should be to do, you know? And I also think that, again, even if you go to work with an agency, like I worked with an agency first with my first business, Finley and Me, and it wasn't till my current SEO people, because they've been with me since then also after they took over, it was like, you do know you're paying $1,200 a month and they've done nothing. And I was like, what do you mean? Yep. He's like, there's no keywords, there's no H1, there's no H2, there's no SEO titles, there's no alt text. I was like, what do you mean? But because I was still working full-time in my mental health clinician job, I didn't have time to educate myself about what I should be looking to make sure that the agency was still doing what they said they were doing. So I just trusted them, and then spent thousands and thousands of dollars and nothing was done. Right. And so I still think, regardless of where you're at in business, same with Facebook ads, whatever, you should have an understanding of how they work, even if you're going to outsource that, so that you can be able to make better informed decisions. Do I increase budget? Do I decrease budget? Do I stop the service altogether? Like, these are things that you have to be able to take on board as the CEO of your company, because that's, you got to pull the pants up and make those hard decisions sometimes. But if you're not educated around it, it's very hard to then make those decisions.
Completely. Honestly, Angela, I see that all the time. And that's kind of how my business started, really, because classic example, just to speak to that point, is like the last agency that I worked at outsourced SEO to India. I didn't have a clue how any of it worked. And this luxury home builder ended up being penalized on Google and lost millions in business. And the business owner, like the guy that owned the agency, had no clue how SEO even worked, but just saw the revenue that he could make from it.
Totally.
And then when you don't follow white hat SEO strategy, you literally are not playing by the rules, and you'll be kicked out by Google anyway. But like, this happens all of the time. And the thing is, people need to become more empowered and ask better questions, but also at the same time, that's where I believe the audits that we've launched is actually revolutionary for people like that, because even if another agency is doing the work, you can actually still do an audit and see what are all the issues, and then be like, well, they're really not doing the work.
100%. And I actually have recommended so many people to go get a secondary evaluation audit, and they come back. But then what I always feel bad is they're like, yeah, but this person said this audit says this. And I'm like, yeah, well, considering you haven't seen any return on investment with these guys for 6 months, and hence why I asked you to go and get another audit, my money's in the bank that these first crew, do you know what I mean, doesn't have a fucking clue. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, and
the industry is not regulated.
100%. And it's so disheartening because they spend the money and then they lose their trust. And it's the same thing with business coaches. Why should I trust you when I've been burned in the past? And I'm like, well, I can't promise you anything, but go Google me, do your own research, which leads me to the next question. There are a lot of people out there that claim they know what the fuck they're doing with Google search. I see it all the time inside of one of these groups in Australia, like-minded bitches. All right. Well, it's an international group, but I swear 99.999% of them have zero clue about what they're doing. Now, I'm not an SEO expert, but I've been around long enough to know if shit's on par or if shit's not on par. I'm not going to execute it. I'm not doing your keyword research, but I would say go speak with Sonia, because this isn't adding up, sister. Or I can look at someone's website and say, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is why. Go speak with your developer, right? But I'm not doing the doing. And so my thing is how can businesses select the right agency? Like, what should they be? Obviously, I'm recommending that they go to you. I've got nothing affiliated, by the way. I just like Sonia. I only recommend 2 people actually for SEO in this particular country. Sonia is one of them. Carl, the guy that I use, is not taking on any new clients. And that's it. I literally do not trust anyone else. And so, but for those that are like, okay, Ange, she's friends of yours, whatever, don't trust you. Okay, whatever. How can businesses select the right agency? Like, what questions should they be asking? What knowledge do they need to know so they can choose the right agency?
I'd ask them to ask the agency what strategy they use. And if they don't know what you're talking about, like, it's either black hat or white hat SEO. And if they have no idea if the following words don't come out of their mouth, like black hat or white hat, run for the hills. Second, I'd look at all their Google reviews and see what their clients are saying about them. I would probably ask, have they worked in their industry before? And if the answer is yes, or a similar industry, ask, would it be okay for me to call the client?
Yeah.
I would also ask them, I'd probably actually ask to do an audit first on the website for them to tell you exactly what they're going to do before they even get started.
Yeah.
That's what I would do, to be honest, because then at least you know that they're not just going to take your money and run. They actually have an idea of what they're talking about. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
And basically the audit is like a strategy, so I definitely believe that is probably one of the most important things. Obviously, look on social, see what people are saying, see how they present themselves. Because obviously socials is a brand portfolio piece. It's not everything, but it's definitely social proof. See like what wins that they've had for clients. That's what works very, very well for us as well, because these are actual people that actually have results. Do you know what I mean?
Totally. And I think, never be afraid to ask to speak with older current clients, like sometimes people won't want to give, but in my experience, if I've got 100 active clients, there might be 10 that are like, no, I'm not. I'm a confidential private person. But the others are like, oh yeah, just give them I'm cool. Send them to me,
Especially if they're raving fans, they'll have no problem.
So. 100%. There should be nothing to hide. I also say in my experience, someone from the company should be either able to hop on a Zoom call, a phone call, or answer an inquiry that you have. Do you know what I mean? Like, it shouldn't be ghosted, and also, I know that data doesn't lie, but also your gut doesn't lie. You'll know when you get off the phone with someone and you're like, why do I feel yuck? You're like, that's a sign. Do you know what I mean? Follow it. They're not the right human, And I say that to people all the time. I never make people sign on the call with me. I'm like, go think about it, process it. If you need anything, let me know. But I'll also say, follow your gut. Does it feel good? Are you excited to work with me? Are you in alignment? Because if you're not, don't sign me. Like, seriously, I'm okay with that. No hard feelings. I want you to find someone because safety is a big thing. You have to feel safe when you work with someone. And if you don't feel, you'll know, just run for the hills is what I say. Now, this has been awesome, my friend. So for the listener wanting to connect with you, how can they connect with you? Where can they find you? And how can they get started with their own Google search strategy?
Yeah, absolutely. There's multiple ways to contact me. I'm literally very active on the odd socials. On the gram is probably best platform that I use, that I'm on a lot. So Instagram, Sonia the Search Queen. The business is obviously the Search Republic. The website, thesearchrepublic.com.au. We have a contact form there as well. And then even if you fill out a contact form, we can take it from there. But if you're not sure and you're kind of on the fence and you're kind of a bit in between a rock and a hard place, on the website you'll also see SEO on Fire, which is the audit. So you can actually figure out exactly what's happening with your website before you commit to anything. And that's just a standalone service. But then GA4 as well, if you need help with anything, just submit an inquiry. We're more than happy to assist, even if nothing comes from it either. Just as no like, I just want to make sure you're actually making the right decision around your marketing and you're in the right hands, because I've just seen it happen so many times with the agencies I've worked for, and I just really want to make a difference.
So disheartening. And so, yes, and no, that's why I appreciate you. That's why, again, I bring on, I'm very particular about who comes on the podcast and who I stand behind, because there unfortunately are people who do the wrong thing all the time, so glad that you were here today. I do have one final question though before we wrap up, and my question is, looking back on your business journey, what do you know now that you wish you knew when you first started out in business?
Great question. The early days. Wow. If I think about the limitations I put on myself and the stories I used to tell myself in the earlier days, and if I could see me now, I would literally just eradicate those limiting beliefs and the amount of time that I spend procrastinating. That is absolutely something I definitely would eradicate out of my life. But secondly, I definitely wouldn't be employing juniors. If you have the money, I would definitely pay top dollar for the skilled team, because cheaper is not necessarily better for your business. Revenue might look better, but realistically it costs you more in time to train these people and hold them accountable. And you can't teach attitude, and you can't teach like people that are like have been around the block for a long time. So for me, investing in the right people will always pay dividends. Like, don't go for your cheaper junior because it looks better on your zero. Like, pay top dollar for the right people, and you reap the rewards in the long run.
And I agree with that. There was a post actually in Like-Minded Bitches. Sometimes I have to stay out of that group, but do you know what I mean? But anyways, someone said like, how do you act as a business coach? They're so expensive, And I said, well, expensive is in the view of you as a person, is it expensive or not? But I also said, you have to look at time and money. Time is the only thing in our world that we can't get back. So you can save your money 100%, and you can go and Google and search and watch YouTube videos, and it could probably take you 5 to 7 years. Or you pay to work with someone like myself from a coaching perspective, or you guys from a Google search perspective, and you get there quicker, more efficient, and you're there within 2 to 3 years, maybe, right? So it's like, really, people don't put a dollar figure on time sometimes. And I'm like, why do you not see this? It eats away your soul. It eats away your confidence, and there's so many other factors. And I'm just like, again, this is why, again, I was just talking about the other day on the podcast, like, my recommendation to 2 people in the last 2 months has been go back and get a part-time job. And they're like, you don't believe in me. I'm like, no, it has nothing to do that I don't believe in you. But there's so much pressure you're putting on yourself right now that it's impacting your marriage. It's impacting your health. Go back and get the part-time job, take that money and put it towards where you can get lead gen, start to get the leads in, get the cash flow, and then reduce the hours. But again, pride gets in the way. So I appreciate that you brought up the notion about, paying for quality, because it really is. It's your time that you're exchanging if you choose not to.
Absolutely. And it costs you, in the long run. Like, if I think about all the coaches I've spent, like what I've worked on for the last few years, I've easily spent about $200,000-$300,000 on coaches. Like, because I genuinely believe if somebody can show me what the gap is that I'm missing, like, why would you try and reinvent the wheel when somebody's already done it?
100%. And then typically your self-esteem, confidence, your network, everything else starts to flow on, right? And so again, typically, I don't promise it to everyone, but typically, yes. Well, listen, my friend, it's been so fun having you on here today, being able to talk about all the ways that people can increase their visibility through Google search. I will put all of the links in the show notes. So again, if you need anything, you can head to angelahenderson.com.au and click on today's episode. But for now, have a beautiful day, Sonia. And to you amazing listener, have a beautiful day too. And I look forward to you joining for another episode of the Angela Henderson Online Business Show. Bye for now. Thanks for listening to the Angela Henderson online business show, www.angelahenderson.com.au.